So before we start the awards presentations, it's my pleasure to introduce Professor Ben Garrod, and he'll be providing this evening's keynote. Ben joined UEA about a year ago as Professor of Evolutionary Biology and Science Engagement. He's a patron of the Norwich Science Festival and the Youth STEM Awards, as well as an ambassador of the Norfolk Wildlife Trust. He's a familiar face on the BBC. You might have seen him presenting shows ranging from The One Show and Springwatch through to documentary series, including with David Attenborough and The Giant Dinosaur. And more recently, he had a series, Secrets of Skin, and also a very moving series called Baby Chimp Rescue. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend catching it on iPlayer. So please do join me in welcoming Ben to the stage.
Well, what a lovely evening, first of all. It's been so nice hearing people talking and engaging and laughing, and it's just the best feeling when you see ideas fizzing around the room like this, and it's such an amazing night, it really is. So I was thinking, why am I up here? You might be thinking the same in a couple of minutes' time, but I thought it beforehand, and I'd come up with an answer. I'm an evolutionary biologist, and as Fiona said then, a lot of my work in some way, shape or form has been with primates. I've worked in Madagascar with lemurs, in the Caribbean with monkeys, and in Southeast Asia with orangutans. But my absolute love, my heart and soul, belongs in Africa, as well as Norfolk, but in Africa with chimpanzees. And the more we study chimps, it helps us understand ourselves and what defines us as a species. It's one of these age-old questions: what makes man special? I think we meant women as well, but we were so preoccupied it was what makes man special. But what makes us special as a species? And we've gone through iterations again and again and again for thousands of years. What it means to define us. And it was man the toolmaker. And we've found a whole bunch of other species that didn't really work with. And we've tried different ideas for the last 50 or 60 years. And we had Jane Goodall here recently, who opened the brand new science building we have. And part of her work was to help define what it means to be human. And a bit of a spoiler alert, we still don't know. We really don't know. Physically, the only thing that defines us uniquely as a species is the presence of a chin. It's not the greatest legacy. It's almost a Douglas Adams thing, isn't it? It's a chin defines humanity. If you found a Neanderthal skull and a human Homo sapien skull, the only difference is a chin. Well, we can't really look to there. Behavior, there's very few things that we do that are uniquely human, but it's the scale of things. And one thing we look at again and again is our ability to innovate, our ability to solve problems, to question the world around us, and to use that to our advantage. So innovation comes full circle for me, and it's something that I study, and it's something that my colleagues study in what helps us fundamentally define ourselves. And here we are tonight celebrating that one thing. So yes, we're celebrating the awards and the achievements of some of our best staff and students, but we're celebrating what it means to make us, us. That's really quite cool. So I'm from Norfolk originally and grew up in Yarmouth, where I like nothing more than like any normal little boy walking along the beach with an ice cream, picking through dead porpoises and things. Absolutely normal for me growing up. And really enjoyed it, really, really enjoyed it. And I wanted to live and work with nature. And that was it for me. There was no question that I needed to be outdoors in nature, surrounded by animals, doing my thing. Couldn't stay on that beach forever poking through dead porpoises. So I went to college, East Norfolk Sixth Form, went to university. I went to a different one in East Anglia. I went to Anglia Ruskin, I'm afraid. And I did animal behaviour. And in my third year, I met Jane Goodall. I was a butler, believe it or not, at the other university in Cambridge. There's another one apart from Anglia Ruskin. I worked there and was a silver service butler, serving the Jane Goodall one evening soup. We weren't allowed to talk to the people we served, so I got fired, but I did get a job. I did get a job afterwards. So when I finished my third year, finished my exams, a week and a half later, I was in Uganda, working for Jane, running a huge conservation program and community education, law enforcement, engagement, research. the embodiment of collaboration and research and innovation was all within that one job there. And that's something that I've always held very, very true. I can't define myself in one simple way. And I think that would be very true for a lot of people that I've met and chatted to this evening and who I know are here tonight. It's hard to define yourself if you're an innovator, if you're that collaborative. And yet, I think that's a good thing. So I worked out there for a number of years and loved the work I did. I then worked in the same sort of role over in Indonesia with orangutans. I ended up in Svalbard, and there are very few primatologists who've worked in Svalbard. It was not what I expected, surprisingly. Didn't stay there very long, bloody cold. Came back, did a master's, went to the Royal Veterinary College, did a veterinary master's to collaborate and to complement the work I'd already done. And again, that's an idea that I see, a theme that I see, again, this complementary notion that we supplement and complement the work we already have. And people in this room are always trying to strive forward. And the table in the middle who are collaborating and working with these amazing projects. And all around the room, there are different examples of striving and moving forwards. I finished my undergrad, my master's, and then did my PhD at UCL. And having worked in the Congo and Southeast Asia and all these very exciting and slightly dodgy places, I'm not going to lie, I decided that I wanted to work in the Caribbean, drinking rum, and it was a pipe dream that would never happen. So I put a proposal together, gave it a snazzy title, called it Primates of the Caribbean. Tough crowd. NERC thought it was good, so, and they funded me, and I spent several years in the Caribbean looking at speciation in primates. I'm now, as Fiona said, Professor of Evolutionary Biology and Science Engagement here, and I love being here. That's not just for your benefit that I'm saying that, I really do, because I'm absolutely a Norfolk boy at heart. And I'm really happy being here, but I'm also incredibly happy when I'm the other side of the world, trekking, as you heard with Attenborough, looking for dinosaur bones, or in the middle of Liberia with chimps. I've got this international part of me and this very local part of me. And they're not mutually exclusive. And what better place to fit than somewhere like this? And that's why I love this place. It enables both. It celebrates both. It celebrates the absolutely tiny and the unimaginably large. That works really well for me. So the theme of the evening is research, collaboration, and innovation. And I can't help but stand up here now and look out amongst you and think about chimpanzees. I'm sorry to say. For me, that's a compliment, don't worry. I've got lots of friends. I say that like I'm trying to justify things. I do have lots of friends. But I'm very proud that lots of my friends aren't human. And I firmly believe that. I've got lots of non-human friends. And my best non-human friend, apart from my dog, is Passa. I met Passa nearly 20 years ago. She was a very small rescued chimpanzee from the Congo that lived in Uganda in a sanctuary. And that's where I trained after Jane gave me my first job. There is a reason for this, believe me. And in terms of research, collaboration, and innovation, Passa was different. Passa wouldn't play by the same rules as all the others. As a very small, scrawny chimp, she didn't understand the hierarchy. Well, maybe she did, but she didn't adhere to the hierarchy, the thing that was meant to keep her in her place. Instead, she would walk up to the very, very largest adult male, often the alpha, would walk up, and they're quite pendulous in certain areas, the big adult males, and she would give them a good tug. Walk past, and I've never seen a shocked face like a big adult male who's just had his bits tugged by a tiny little female chimpanzee. She didn't know her place in the world. The sky was the limit for Passa, and she demonstrated it in an unusual way. But the reason I'm coming back to my research, innovation, and collaboration was because they lived on an island in the middle of Lake Victoria. It's absolutely beautiful. You can go and visit if you're ever over there as a tourist. And 95% of the island is cordoned off for the chimpanzees, and just 5% is there for the humans, the other apes. And chimpanzees are incredibly strong. They are deadly. And you don't want to mix, you really don't. So you have to cordon us off from them. We had these big electric fences that the chimps were terrified of, and rightly so, because they gave them quite strong shocks, and that was the only thing that keeping us safe there. We needed to feed them, we needed to maintain them, and make sure they were nice and healthy. So we needed this barrier. It was too far to get over, and occasionally they would throw sticks over, they'd throw sticks through them, but not Passa. Passa would wait and would sit next to the fence for ages and ages and ages, and she wanted nothing more than to spend time with people. She just didn't know her place in society. I love that. And then she used research, collaboration, and innovation. She started using little sticks, tiny little sticks, to just dig in the dirt. There was a tiny gap just beneath the electric fence, the wire, about 5 or 6 inches between the ground and the first cable. And that wasn't good enough. So she used slightly larger sticks. And through a process of trial and error, through research, she realized that she needed quite a thick stick, about as thick as 2 fingers. And she would dig this little hole. She would try and get under, but it wasn't quite good enough. It wasn't quite there. She needed a new way of doing it. And she devised something. She innovated something that had never been done before in that part of chimpanzee culture. She would go to these big fig trees and peel off pieces of bark. She dug her hole. This was all unbeknown to us poor caregivers and researchers. We saw her do it afterwards. She would go to a fig tree, peel off the fig tree, put it behind her back like a little coat, and would then wriggle, commando style, under the fence, get out, come find the nearest person, and would just engage. And if that doesn't embody innovation, research, and collaboration, then I don't know what does. It's something that we see across species, and we celebrate, as I said, again and again and again with us. Now, we do have a whole series of awards this evening. We've got everything from the award for student or graduate innovation and enterprise, right through to the partnership of the year. And we do have the Chancellor's Award for Outstanding Achievement. Ooh. Okay, look, this isn't panto, but we'll try it again. We also have the Chancellor's Award for Outstanding Achievement. Thank you. And it's an opportunity to showcase and celebrate and support the work and achievements of some of our best, both students and staff alike. And I listed different things that we've got here for research and innovation. In terms of research, we've got Professor Corinne LeQuery, who is an internationally renowned climatologist, who is changing the way we address the global issues we have on our doorsteps and around the world. We've also got researchers looking at anosmia, the inability to smell, and how it affects people both locally and nationally as well. We've even got, and I love this, an English studies fellow who looked at 16th century letters showing Elizabeth I had messy handwriting. Elizabeth, what did you do? Well, I battled off the Spanish Armada, but you had terrible handwriting, right? Yeah, fine, yeah. The breadth of the research we do here is exciting and important, and each of those has a huge impact within their respective fields. In terms of innovation, just last year we had over 100 patents filed from intellectual property from UEA-based pieces of research. 100 in a year. The Enterprise Centre, this thriving business hub from UEA, opened just, 5 years ago. Over 115 student and graduate companies last year, it was up to last year, had been generated from that one group on UEA campus alone. So each of these different areas are generating innovation and really pumping out scientists and innovators and engineers and people who are willing and wanting to change the world around them. And in terms of collaboration, we've got everything from the Cambridge and Norwich Tech Corridor right through to Sync the City, this wonderful annual 54-hour event. 54-hour event with students, entrepreneurs, designers, coders, software developers working through problems to collaborate, work together, and to try and develop something, to try and change one problem or to overcome one problem they're tackling each time. I could go on for hours, you can probably tell, but I would go on for hours and we would be still talking about amazing things well into the early morning. But I want to finish on a couple of quotes. I asked a couple of students of mine, why UEA? I mean, we're all here for various reasons. I got asked to stand up here, and there's no way I can say no. So, of course, I'm very happy to be here. But I thought, who best to ask? Who's going to give us the most realistic answer of what it is to be at UEA? And I thought, ask the students. It's a bit of a risk. It paid off. One said, for me, it's all about sharing and growing within a supportive and richly diverse community of exceptional people. It's pretty good. I asked another one, and she said, UEA is like a family. They were incredibly supportive of my social enterprise, and I believe they really care about raising the life opportunities of young people. The whole Norwich Research Park fosters and encourages innovation, and so the motto, do different, really does mean something. It really does. And you're all the coalface of that. You are changing things around you for the better. We're going to carry on, and as I said, with your amazing woo and your amazing involvement there, we're going to carry on. I'm going to hand you over to Karen Jones, CBE, who is not only an incredible innovator and entrepreneur herself for various reasons, yet alone the Café Rouge chain that she fostered and developed, but also because she's an alumna from here as well, and she is our Chancellor. So without further ado, please let me hand over to Karen for the rest of the evening.